Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today we are going to be looking at Holo Taco's Holo royalty collection called Garden Variety. If you don't know, Holo Taco has these different loyalty tiers depending on how much you spend every year, and their highest tier is called Holo Royalty, and I believe throughout the year they get these surveys to sort of vote on these colors and finishes to sort of create their own Holo royalty collection. This year we're getting 5 polishes as well as a new little bag and a nail file, and alongside this release is also the loyalty sale, but I will share some more information about that at the end of the video after comparisons. For now, let me just show you the swatches. Actually, first I want to give a quick close-up look at the limited edition packaging these come in. It's a purple holographic box with these gorgeous lush leaves all over it. The first polish we have is called Sprout of Control, which is the thermal of the collection. It's described as being a grape purple in the cold state as seen here and in the bottle that transitions to a sage green when warm. It also has this green shimmer running throughout, and I think this transitions really easily. As you can see, I'm running a bit warm already, so you can immediately see the color distinction on my nail. The formula was really smooth. I know sometimes thermals can be a little bit on the thicker side, but I didn't feel that way at all with this shade. It was super smooth, easy to apply, and I found it pretty much opaque for me in just the 2 coats alone. So yeah, no complaints around the formula. My only gripe is with the color description, where I wouldn't call this a sage green at all. Here it is in the fully warm state, and I would say it's almost like a turquoise blue leaning color. There is a little bit of this medium blue shade in between as well, where it's not distinct enough, I think, to be a trithermal, but it's a really nice in-between shade. And here for my full hand swatch, I'm showing 2 coats with a glossy top coat, and I'm running extra warm here where even more of my tips are that teal color, so it was really hard to show the cold transition for my full hand swatch since I am in direct sunlight. The next polish we have is called It Evergreen, which is described as a deep teal green metallic with smooth, shiny microflakes, silver reflective glitter, and scattered holographic glitter. As I'm sure you can probably tell from the first coat, the base is what's teal, but the actual microflakes are more of that brighter green color, although they do shift to a tealy blue color in extreme lighting, which I'll show later. So definitely a very teal color for a shade that makes me think of a pine green when it comes to evergreen, but it's not a bad color by any means. I feel like it almost reminds me of an emerald as well, which I kind of really like. That aside, it had a really nice formula similar to their other super tiny metallic flaky finishes that they've been doing. It was extremely full coverage on the first coat alone, and an easy 2-coater, I would say, for most people, though I would just be careful not to overwork the polish. Like, you don't want to do too many strokes across your nail because then you'll start pulling the flakies off of your nail. So yeah, hopefully you saw in my live swatch and also in my full hand swatch here the shift to this teal, almost steely blue sort of color. It kind of gives it this like gunmetal effect, which was really interesting. The light purple in the collection is called No Opalogies, which is described as a lavender jelly base filled with multicolored iridescent flakies, pink iridescent micro shimmer, and a scattered holo. As an October Libra, I absolutely love this shade. Anything opal related is just always going to resonate with me, and I think this one is so pretty. I love the light lavender color, the rainbow iridescent flakies. It's just so sparkly and pretty, and it had a really great formula too, where it's just so incredibly even coverage that I think it's one of those shades you can easily wear in 1, 2, or 3 coats depending on how much coverage you want. I know it might not be super popular, but I really loved how this looked in just the 1 coat for a light wash of color. I know the 2 coats in my live swatch portion here looks really full coverage where you barely can see my visible nail line, but here is 2 coats in direct sunlight, which Obviously, you're going to see more of that because it is such a light shade. So doing a third coat won't make it 100% opaque by any means. You'd want to use a blurring base coat if that really bothers you, but this doesn't bother me at all. I feel like it's just so dreamy. The last green in the collection is called Sage the Day, which is a crushed holo formula in a sage green shade with a blue iridescent micro shimmer. This one had another fantastic formula, super full coverage on the first coat alone. There's just minimal light spots here and there, so I found this to be an easy 2-coater for me. I can't imagine most people needing 3 coats, but it could just depend on your preference and your application. And yeah, at first I wasn't really seeing this as a sage green. I feel like it's very minty to me, maybe because of that blue shimmer, which I don't know how well it's picking up on camera, but I feel like in real life it did have a nice glow to it, and the holo is definitely very holo, so I actually really did like this combination. For reference, I do normally love their plain crushed holos. The ones with shimmer are sort of hit or miss for me, where I really loved Spyglass, but then I wasn't super crazy about the rock candy collection, but I think this one reminds me more of Spyglass than rock candy. Also, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like in lower lighting it picks up a lot more of that sage green as opposed to a mint green. And rounding out the collection is Purple Flake Taco, which is described as a purple metallic asymmetrical foil flake in a clear base. This one had a really nice formula. As you can see, a ton of flakies on the first coat alone. I didn't have to dip back in to fish out any more flakes, so you get great coverage on the first application. It's almost bordering on being too dense for me personally, but I think it looks really nice, especially over the sheer pink. I mean, no matter what you wear it over, the purple really does stand out, and I liked the variety in the sizes and the shapes. There are a few flakes that are a bit larger and more irregular looking, but for the most part they are on the tinier, dainty side. So here I'm showing 1 coat over each of the shades in the collection, and for my full hand swatch I'm showing 1 coat over a sheer pink on my first 2 fingers, and then a white and black on my second 2. The first of the 2 extras releasing is the Mint Glass nail file, which is basically what it sounds like. It is their crystal nail file that just comes in this really beautiful mint color, and on the back there are these really pretty leaves that fit the theme of the boxes. I think the only Holo Taco nail file I've used before was from the Advent box, but again, I'm pretty sure it is the same exact file as what they carry normally in their store. Personally, it doesn't feel like a super fine grit to me, but it still does a great job at taking down some length and making shaping super easy. I know it might not look super easy right now, but that's because I'm filing at an awkward angle with the camera in the way. And lastly, we have the purple holo pouch, which I know is looking super intense here on camera, but it definitely is very holographic in real life and is almost in this lighter lilac kind of color, along with a light purple interior that has a few little pockets and compartments. Moving on to comparisons, we're starting with Sprout of Control and looking at it next to Simply Chaotic, which is the previous purple to teal thermal that Holo Taco came out with. Though, as I'm sure you can tell, Simply Chaotic is much darker. It's several shades deeper in both the purple and teal colorway. Here in the cold state, the purple almost looks like an indigo, and then in the warm state, it's more of that true teal color, while Sprout of Control is like a pastel teal. Seeing Sprout of Control in the bottle, it did immediately make me think of some other Holo Taco purples. First, I pulled out Electric Sweetener from the Rock Candy collection, which is a crushed holo, but it has a blue shimmer, though the biggest difference is the shade of purple. It's more of like a warm toned pinky purple shade. So the closer color was Moonlit Rodeo from last year's Holo Royalty release. It does have a smoother, finely milled green shimmer, and the base is a little bit warmer shimmer or muted, but it's still kind of close. And for some other purples I thought were worth comparing, I pulled out Mooncat's Werewolf Bane from their recent Deadly by Nature collection, as well as Cirque's Bitchin, which ended up being a little closer to Electric Sweetener, being more of a warmer toned purple. I know it might be kind of hard to see here because I'm starting to run a bit warm, but if you look at the tip of my nail, I feel like the purple base of Holo Taco is kind of close to Mooncat, but the blue shimmer in Mooncat is way more glowy, so they're not dupes. When it comes to a potential dupe, I unfortunately don't have it in my collection anymore, but this did immediately remind me of Fauve's irises. To me, the thermal pigment looks nearly identical, and the green shimmer is also really close, but it looks more densely packed and glowy in Fauve. Next, for Keep It Evergreen, I unfortunately don't have Teal With It or Teal No Lies to directly compare. I think Teal No Lies is actually the closest to a dupe to Moxie's and Tyler's Trinkets collab called Baker's Dozen. So again, while Keep It Evergreen does have a greenish metallic shimmer head on, once you see the base color, like once I move my nail away from the light, the base looks really similar to the teal linear holo, and for reference I also have Never Tied Down on the right just to see that tealy blue color. Next, I wanted to see this next to Emerald City from the Birthstones collection and Lost in the Woods, which is a linear holo that's kind of this pine or forest green shade. I know Emerald City can sort of lean a little bit teal in the base or in certain angles because of the iridescent flakes, but I feel like both of these other shades just overall look a lot more green than Keep It Evergreen. For Mooncat comparisons, I think the closest shades were Poseidon's Prize and Weeping Willow, which are more blue and green respectively. Like I mentioned before, Keep It Evergreen almost had this emerald color to it, so I think it does look a lot like Weeping Willow, even though that is a magnetic. Seeing it unmagnetized on the nail, depending on the lighting and the angle that you're looking at it, it kind of just looks really, really similar. Weeping Willow just doesn't have as dark of a base, I think, but the shimmer color is really close. And then from Cracked, I think the closest shades were Fight, which is a very dark teal base with a vibrant green shimmer that pulls more yellowy green, so you can see how Keep It Evergreen is a little bit more of that blue toned teal color. And I also pulled out on Shuffle, which is a dark teal jelly base with a dainty holo, so neither of these are really that close. And lastly, from ILNP, I unfortunately don't have this anymore, but it reminded me a lot of Forever from a previous winter collection. It kind of has a similar metallic scattered holo finish and in a somewhat similar blue-green color. Next, for No Opalogies, I pulled out Spyglass and Peri-Social, which are the closest Holo Taco shades I have. Spyglass obviously being a light blue cornflower crushed holo with a blue shimmer, and Peri-Social is a periwinkle cream. So in the bottle, they look closer in color, but obviously they're very different on the nail. I thought No Opalogies was kind of a perfect in-between of these two recent periwinkle shades that I reviewed on my channel. First, I have Nailpollies Plant One On Me, which has more of this shimmer and reflective glitter mix, while Tyler's Trinkets Group Chat Glow does have a similar rainbow iridescent flaky mix, but the base is a little too dark. The Holo Taco is definitely the sheerest of the three, but I think it's a little closer in color to Nailpollies. And here is No Opalogies next to Mooncat's Into the Wishing Well, which is a periwinkle base with a pink shimmer, but there's no flakes in here, just a dainty holo. But aside from that, I just thought in the bottle they do look the most similar. On the nail though, Mooncat is a little bit more buildable in its purple base color, more of like a true crully kind of finish, but I figured to add the flakies, I could do a layer of Mooncat's Curiosity's Prey, which is retired I think last year. It's kind of that perfect crushed opal polish, so I thought the flakies would be kind of close, but they're a little too yellow. It is a pretty combination though. For reference, here is No Apologies next to Mooncat's Sugar and Spice topper from their somewhat recent Band of Misfits release, as well as Cracked Fairy Tinkle, which is another rainbow flaky topper. Both of these are really similar in their color combinations, but the main difference is that Cracked is much tinier and densely packed, so I think that one is a bit closer to No Apologies. So I'll be using it in my recreation attempt in a moment, layered over Crack's Sparkle Forward, which is from the Caitlin Swatches collab. I thought it was the closest to the base, being a super sheer kind of lavender color, but Cracked is more of a blue shimmer and it has like a silver reflective glitter, so it's not quite the same. But once you do layer Fairy Tinkle, it has a similar vibe, though again it is missing the pink shimmer. That's like the main thing I'm missing in my recreation. And here is No Apologies next to Cirque's Morningtide and Lavender Sky, which are two of my favorite jellies, so you can see how I love No Apologies. It's just that perfect in between of these two. So for my recreation attempt, I tried 2 coats of Lavender Sky over 1 coat of Morningtide and then topped that with Fairy Tinkle, but it's not really that close. And lastly, I wanted to show this next to Cirque's Glitter Glue, which is basically the same as Fantasia, as well as Glitch's May Flowers, which are, again, both iridescent flaky toppers. Glitter Glue, though, is obviously a lot more gold leaning, so Glitch is a lot closer, having that blue, purple, pink color combination. The main difference, again, is that I'm missing that pink shimmer in No Apologies. I think the flakes are a little bit more opaque in Glitch as well, like you can sort of see them a little clearly in more extreme lighting, if that makes sense, but color-wise, these are the closest, I think. Next, for Sage the Day, I knew I had to see this next to Mint Money, which is a linear holo, so obviously visually it's totally different, but color-wise, I just thought these were the closest, and I would say that they are. Like, they're not exact dupes maybe, but they're really, really close. So I figured to try to recreate Sage the Day, I could layer a flaky topper and a blue shimmer on top of Mint Money. Adding the blue shimmer definitely helps, but doing 1 coat of the flaky topper was definitely not enough to match the crushed holo look, so you might need to layer that on a bit more. From Mooncat, the closest greens that I have were Love's Labyrinth, which is another linear holo, and this time a little bit lighter or maybe more pastel compared to Mint Money. And I also have Devil's Ivy, which is a magnetic, but leaving it unmagnetized, it's kind of close. I mean, it's a few shades darker than Sage the Day, so I think it's like another in-between of these two Mooncat colors. And the last couple of light sage greens that I have are ILNP's Dollhouse and Olive Ave's Sage, which hopefully you can see are much lighter than a Sage the Day, like way more pastel leaning and with a much more dainty holo instead. Finally, for Purple Flake Taco, I only have some photos to compare, but the first is with Holo Taco's Purple Flaky Holo Taco, which is more of a holographic instead of metallic, and it also has a more uniform shaped glitter instead of the irregular flakes. So for an irregular purple metallic flaky, the closest I think on the market is Fancy Gloss's Crushed Amethyst, which is sold out at the moment. I'm not sure if they plan on bringing it back, but if you already have that one in your collection, this looks like a near dupe. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons of the Holo Royalty Garden Variety collection. I actually don't think I mentioned it in the intro, but as is the same with the previous royalty releases, these are all limited edition, and they are also excluded from the loyalty sale, which I mentioned is happening alongside this release. So it's going to be live from the 25th through the 27th of April, and depending on your loyalty tier, you get a different discount. So if you're a Holo Explorer, you get 10% off, Holo Swatchers get 15% off, and Holo Royalty gets 20% off. And I believe the only other exclusions from the sale are the most recent Haute Garbage collection and the gift cards. But yeah, as far as this release goes, it's nice. I mean, objectively speaking, the formulas are great. They're high quality, you know, really fantastic to apply. Basically what I've come to expect from Holo Taco. But personally, I just wasn't really excited about this color palette. I feel like we often see a lot of teal greens and purples from Holo Taco, and it's always like the same shades, though I am happier to see the light purple because I feel like that was the more unique one from their catalog. Although I don't have everything taco, so maybe it would be easier to dupe, but they don't have like a milky purple jelly, so I still think that one's like the most unique. But yeah, the other ones didn't really do it for me, you know? And again, this color palette isn't as exciting for me, especially compared to last year. Like, I really loved that royalty collection. Unfortunately, from this year, I'm more excited about like the nail file and the bag. I just think those are cuter, but yeah, that's just my personal opinion, you know. Objectively speaking, again, the polishes are great, so it's not like you're gonna be disappointed in them, I think, especially if you are used to Holo Taco formulas, because again, while I wasn't super blown away by like some of the polishes, I think they are still very much in line with what they've done before. And this is mainly created by Holo Royalty for Holo Royalty, and you know, it tracks. By the way, for anybody wondering, I did also receive the Haute garbage or garbage collection with these. I just didn't have time to fit both reviews in the same video, so I had to separate them. By the time you're watching this, I'm still gonna be finishing up that video, but hopefully it should be up by Sunday, if not Monday at the latest. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know what you think of this year's royalty release, whether you are a part of Holo Royalty or not, or let me know what you plan on getting during the sale if you're gonna be shopping it this weekend. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.